A lot of average golfers struggle to find the center of the club face every single time. So today we're asking the most important question when it comes to new drivers, which is, which driver will give me the best results on my worst swings? Today we're gonna find out the most forgiving driver of 2025. I have 8 of the most forgiving drivers of 2025, and these are not the players drivers. These are the high MOI, max forgiveness. These drivers are geared for the everyday average golfer. This test is gonna be a little bit different than my normal test because I'm slowing down my club head speed, and the whole purpose of today's session is miss hits. If I flush one, it doesn't count. I'm pulling it out of the data. I want to purposely miss hit these drivers so we can really understand its forgiveness level. For all the testing today, we are using the exact same shaft. This is the Power Snipe from Autoflex. We're filming on a TrackMan. We're in Calgary, Alberta. The elevation is about 3,400 feet, and we are filming at the beautiful Modern Golf. The first driver we're gonna test is the most affordable. This is the Kirkland Signature, the Costco Special. We're gonna give all these drivers 6 hits and really understand its forgiveness level. So let's start with the Kirkland Signature. You know what? Visually, looking at this driver, this is my first time hitting it, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, that first hit actually felt really good, like pretty soft off the face. Kirkland, not bad. Okay, that one was super toey. Okay, kind of just hung out to the right there. Sometimes when you hit it on the toe, you might get that gear effect and it actually draws. So we'll see if any of the other drivers have more draw effect if I hit it on the toe. Super low smash factor, that's what we're looking for, that 138. That was kind of one extreme to the other. So I hit that first toey one that stayed to the right. That one was definitely on the heel. I know for a fact it wasn't center of the club face. And so far that was our best result. That actually felt pretty good for a heel strike. It was kind of low on the face, just kind of hanging out to the right. So it seems like so far like my miss kind of been like just that leaky push fade, but like it's still in play. This feels so foreign to me to have a driver and not swing full gas, like really toning down my swing. I'd say I'm swinging at about 75%. If you guys wanna see me swing at full speed, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'm gonna do a full driver bracket to really find the best driver of 2025. And in those videos, I get to swing full gas. I mean, just another high floater. Sound-wise and feel-wise with the Kirkland is actually quite surprisingly good. I like how it sounds, I like how it feels, I like how it looks. It has just a very subtle amount of carbon behind the face. It's got like a sight dot. That's pretty unique for drivers. You don't really see a lot of sight dots that line up the center, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised so far in the Kirkland Signature. Okay guys, last hit with the Kirkland. Let's make it a bad one. Or maybe a low hook. Definitely hooked. Rolls a mile. That was actually a pretty decent session. Let me show you guys the dispersion pattern with the Kirkland. So it's one thing to look at the tracers, but something that I like to pull up is the dispersion pattern. So let me show you this kind of from a top-down view. From a forgiveness level, the total distance was actually pretty good. So it looks like my shortest was this guy at 272 total, all the way to this one at 298. So we almost cracked 300. With the Kirkland Signature. Look at the roll. Like I only carried it 235 and it rolled 40 yards. So if your miss hit is gonna roll 40 yards, that's actually pretty darn decent. So right now I'm looking at all of my averages. I was averaging 104 club head speed. Spin rate at 2100 is like perfect. That's a fitter's dream for drivers. So the fact that we didn't have to change the lie angle, we didn't play around with a whole bunch of different shafts, we got 2100 spin out of the gate is actually really, really good. Carry 245, total 285. So it looks like on average, we were rolling the ball 40 yards. Smash factor is actually pretty decent. I would say for myself, trying to not hit it perfect every time, to have a smash factor in the 1.4s is actually pretty good. I would say that this is a really good benchmark for a forgiving driver. Let's pull out the other drivers and we'll see how forgiving those are. Okay guys, this next driver up is the TaylorMade Qi35 Max. I believe still 10,000 MOI, so the Max MOI. Visually obviously looks different. We got a full gray carbon crown and we're taking a step up in price. So let's see how the results vary for its forgiveness level. Okay, remember if we flush it, it doesn't count. It's gotta be somewhat of a miss hit. Felt maybe a little inside heel. Okay, hung out to the left. A big difference visually other than the color is that the Qi35 Max feel like it just looks a little bit more stretched out. I would say that the Kirkland is a little bit smaller, a little more compact. Kirkland doesn't have as many drivers in the lineup, obviously, as like a TaylorMade or these other drivers that we're gonna test. So just visually, it looks a little bit more stretched out. The theory with that is the more weight you put behind the club, the more you can stretch it out, the more forgiving it becomes. Okay, good miss hit. What happens here? Wow. I mean, what that felt like it was gonna do and what it did, two totally different things. It felt like my club collapsed. I felt like the toe really shut over. I was expecting that to be kind of like a low left pull, and I actually got a center fade. So I'm a little confused because what I felt and what actually happened, two totally different things. I think that's showing off its forgiveness. Can you guys tell in my body language that it's just like killing me to not hit it really hard? I'm just kind of like got this little weak follow through. Really good. Like, again, it didn't feel like I hit it on the screws, but the results are actually pretty good. Okay, good toe strike. There it is. She gone. That did not come back. So I would say so far out of all of our hits, the worst hit, but I want to leave that in. Like I hit it just right of center, kind of left the face open, and you know, that result doesn't surprise me. I mean, the spin has been really good on these in that 2400. The smash factor, again, getting up over 1.4. I mean, this is a pretty good session. I got one more hit with it. Really quick shout out to Autoflex. This is an extra stiff shaft, which is what I would normally swing. I'm obviously toning it down, but the fact that this shaft can handle a much lower club head speed than I should be swinging it, like just shout out to Autoflex. This thing's actually a pretty sneaky good weapon. Last one, here we go, TaylorMade. A little low on the face. Wow. Typically lower on the face, the spin will jump up, which it did at 3,000 RPM. Let's take a look at all of our dispersion. Okay, let's look at all of our shot tracers. Here was the TaylorMade session, and here is Kirkland. So actually pretty comparable. I had just that one big outlier, this one here on the right. That was my furthest miss, but I would say I was pretty consistent in the fairway, both on the left and right side with the TaylorMade. Let's look at the dispersion. I would say the TaylorMade had a much tighter gapping. Look at this tight gapping between 280 and 300, 5 of 6, versus the Kirkland kind of was just a bit wider. So the distance wasn't as consistent, I would say, as the TaylorMade grouping. And then I had this one big outlier. So if 5 of 6 of my miss hits are still pretty good, this one's just in the rough, I would say the TaylorMade so far, just looking at these, was more consistent with miss hits than the Kirkland. But, you know, up for interpretation. The Kirkland still felt really good. I would say that was actually a pretty good session. Let's look at my averages. Averaging 2,600 spins, so spin went up, but still sub 3,000. I'd say that's pretty good. Average 250 carry, what was the Kirkland? Average 245, so 5 yards in carry with the TaylorMade. Total yard was the exact same. So I think just because the spin was up, it wasn't rolling as much as the Kirkland, but to still average 285, the Kirkland is standing right there with the TaylorMade. That's pretty cool to see. Let's go to the next driver. Now we're looking at the Callaway Elyte X. I have a soft spot for this. Earlier in the year, I did a fitting with a Callaway award-winning fitter where he fit me into the Elite, and I was hitting that thing a mile. If you want to see me hit full send, you can go watch that video. I think I had one like 350 carry. It was going super far, but I've never hit their most forgiving model, which is the X. So let's see how this stacks up against the TaylorMade and the Kirkland. Pretty high on the face, might be a low spinner. Oh, spin was actually up. That's surprising. There's another one high face. Let's see if that brings the spin down. Still really high spin. That really surprises me. Typically when you hit a driver near the top of the face, it'll bring spin down. As you hit it low on the face, the spin should be up. So the fact that I've hit 2 above center and they're both 3,400 spin, that spin's just gonna kill all the distance. Especially if I'm into the wind, it's gonna be a high floater and it's just gonna fall. So hopefully throughout the rest of the session, we can bring that spin down, but I'm surprised it's high spinning off the top of the face. Maybe we can do the opposite, hit it low on the face and just see what happens. Weird. I mean, just not getting that same pop, I think, as the previous ones. I hit other ones low on the face and I still got it pretty airborne. That felt like a decent strike, even though I was still trying to hit it low on the face. The spin was still up. So I'm a little confused. Okay, toe strike, gear effect. Did it turn over? No, kind of a high floater. Spin's starting to come down. I'm okay with that. and I hit down on it. I didn't feel like I hit that far down on it, but 4 degrees down is not good, and the spin didn't really go crazy high. So that, I would say that was a forgiving hit. Maybe we can get something heely here. Did it turn over? Yeah. Okay. So this thing likes to be hit on the heel, apparently. I just feel like we're seeing a lot more variance out of the Callaway so far. The TaylorMade and the Kirkland felt to be a little bit more consistent up and down the face, where the Callaway so far kind of just feels like a guessing game. There are definitely some good results coming out, but I would say that the bad have been worse than the first 2 drivers we tested. Last one, guys. Let's finish semi-strong here. Kind of a heely high face. Okay, that one to me has been the most impressive. It didn't feel like a good strike whatsoever. Clubhead speed, ball speed's been relatively the same, sub 3,000 spin. Let's take a look at our dispersion. That one felt good. Okay guys, here was our Callaway session. I see a lot more variance than the other 2. We had some really high balls, and then we had that outlier, that low right spinner. So we'll compare that to the TaylorMade and then to the Kirkland. So I was definitely hitting the Callaway the highest. What was my apex? 83 feet versus 71 and 66. So we'll see if that's a trend. If more drivers I hit keep getting high, but I feel really warm. I feel like my swing is decent for what I'm trying to do. I was averaging 245 carry versus 250 carry and 245. So the distance is right on par with the Kirkland. Total, I was 274 versus 285 and 285. So why did it go shorter? Spin. 2,900 spin versus 26 and 21. That is the only reason it's going shorter, because it's spinning and just falling out of the air. Let's look at it from a top down. Pretty big variance, I would say. So far, this is the worst variance compared to the TaylorMade that had a tight grouping, 1 outlier, and the Kirkland, which was actually pretty consistent. So Callaway so far, I don't think is gonna win this test because it's already losing to the other 2. Let's put another driver in play and see how that stacks up. And you know what? Take this with a grain of salt, because there are some golfers that might need more spin. This actually might be a really good option for you, but for me, just the way that I'm hitting it is just spinning too much for me. All right, guys, this driver is the Wilson Dynapwr Max. It's Wilson's most forgiving driver. There seems to be kind of a cult following with the Wilson. Anytime I put something up against Wilson, I get the Wilson army coming after me. So hopefully for my sake in the comments that this driver performs, but let's find out. Doesn't look nearly as big as the other ones. Maybe it's just because it's like the only one that's had kind of like a matte, or like a kind of like a shiny all black finish, no carbon that I see on the crown. Let's see how it hits. It's a pretty hot start for the Wilson. I would say that that hit was just right of center towards the toe. I didn't want to take it out, but it felt really good. So the first one to not totally catch on the screws, just be right of center, it actually felt really good. Let's go for the other side, see what heel does. Should be low left, I think. I would say that that's low left. Super low spin. That might be the first driver that we got sub 2,000 spin. So we'll have to see if that's a trend with this driver. Look at that roll, 50 yards of roll. Little toe side, yeah. What I noticed so far out of the Wilson is that those 3 hits were on 3 different spots of the face. They all felt the same. They all sounded pretty crisp and they felt solid. So if you like feedback across the face that feels the same no matter where you hit it, this actually might be a pretty good option. Okay, low left. Yeah. Now you could interpret this as a positive or a negative. So far, the ball has been going where I feel like it should go. So I would say that the feedback has been honest. In a couple of the other drivers where I felt like I pulled it left, it was actually like a high fade to the right, which surprised me. So again, it's up to your interpretation. If you like the feel of the driver going where you think it does, of course you want to get closer to the center line, but this is the first driver that is going where I feel like it's going, if that makes sense. That felt just low of center. By far our best one. That one's like super borderline. I know I didn't hit it perfect, but I hit it pretty good. It was low of center, got super optimal spin across the board. Like that might've been one of our best hits in the total session, but because it was just below center, I'm gonna keep it in. Okay guys, last one. That one's a little toey, see if it turns over. Uh-oh, it holds the line. I think that one was too good. Let's delete that one. This is the first time that I've actually had to delete a good drive. That was right on the screws. So the potential of this driver is really, really good. We want to find its forgiveness level. So I have to finish on a miss hit, so I got to delete this one. Okay guys, you know, it's got to be a miss hit. There we go. There's a toey hit. I gotta stay fair to the test. We finished with a miss hit, still went 291. Let's look at the dispersion. I think this Wilson Dynapwr has a ton of potential. I'm really excited to unleash on this driver because it just felt really good off the face. It pained me to have to peel off it a little bit to kind of just hold back. I don't think it's the most forgiving driver. So let's look at the dispersion. Dispersion actually looks pretty comparable to the other drivers that we'd hit. I'd say very similar to maybe the Kirkland signature. Kirkland signature maybe a little bit tighter. Let's look at the averages. 2,500 spin, perfect. Carry 250, right on par with the guys that are kind of leading so far, right? Like right there with the TaylorMade. It's above the Callaway, it's above the Kirkland. Total's 288. That might be our longest driver right now. Let's look at our dispersion to see the distance variance. I mean, actually a pretty tight session. The ones as far left are going as far as the one right. There's not a huge gapping in the worst and the best, like shortest and longest. This actually might be pretty decent consideration for the most forgiving. Initially, I didn't think so. Let's look at the TaylorMade. The TaylorMade I still think has just the tightest dispersion. If we got rid of that one outlier, it'd be no question. Wilson's right there. It is definitely in the running. Anything else I see? Smash factor way up there. Highest smash factor, I'd say. So the smash factor at 146 is so far the highest smash factor of me trying to miss hit it. So to have a smash factor that high in the 1.4s is actually really impressive. Wilson might be in the running. I ate my own words there in about 30 seconds. Okay, next driver is the Titleist GT1. All right, guys, we're taking a look at the Titleist GT1. What I find interesting about Titleist is they don't release a new driver every year. The majority of manufacturers release a new driver every year. Titleist has a 2-year lifespan, so we're coming into the 2nd year of the GT lineup. Great drivers when I've tested them in the past, but never tested the GT1. Let's find its forgiveness level. That felt kind of low left on the face. That's kind of where it went. High spinning so far out of the gate, high spin. There's a toe hit. Felt like the face just crumbled on impact. That's forgiveness right there. Easily felt like my worst hit. Carry 255, roll 285. I like that. If I feel like my face imploding at impact and that's the result, like, yep, I'll take one. Heel strike. What's a heel gonna do? Kind of just like a high left floater. It doesn't feel like I'm swinging faster. I'm purposely trying to be at like 75%. And my ball speed and my club speed is picking up. This is the first time in the session that I feel like the club is doing the work for me. I feel like it's the same swing. 3,000 spin is high spin. To still carry 265, go to 290. Look how bad my smash factor is, 139. It might be a contender. Okay, low on the face. See what that does to the spin. I have a big sigh because it's better than it feels. 3,000 spin, not great. 257, good. 286 total, good. Look how close it is to the line. Smash factor jumped up. Might be, this one might be the one. There's still a couple to come, but this might be the one so far. Okay, last one, make it a bad one. High on the face. That should go the highest. It's a good club. It's a good club, guys. Let's take a look. I picked the Titleist GT1 thinking it was the most forgiving, and I kind of forgot that it was the lighter head. In hindsight, I probably could have taken the GT2, which is also their forgiving driver. So I told you guys that I was doing the exact same swing, but I picked up 2 miles an hour against the field. So Callaway at 105, TaylorMade 104, Titleist 107. Ball speed was right there. The Wilson actually had more ball speed with less club head speed, which is interesting. But the Titleist, I mean, like looking at the dispersion, it looks like it was the tightest session that I've had. And again, the majority of them, all of them were miss hits. Carry 258 versus 250, 245, 250, 245. So the Titleist has had the longest carry with relatively high spin, 3,100 spin, average 284. Let's look at it from a consistency standpoint. Man, like that's a tight session of miss hits at 280 down the fairway. No outliers. No outliers. The outlier is this guy at 252 carry versus 260 carry. I think we have a new top spot. Let's find a new driver. All right, guys, moving on to the Cobra DS Adapt Max. What's cool about this driver is set up with the Future Fit 33. It is the most adjustable driver out of everything that we're testing. The majority of these drivers have anywhere from like 8 to 12 hosel adjustable settings, so you can change the loft, the lie angle. This has 33. For this testing, we're just putting it on neutral, but if you were to get fit for one of these drivers, just know that there's 33 different settings that you can try to get this completely dialed in to your swing. Let's see how forgiving it is. That was slightly toey, but it felt really good. Okay. That felt just below center. I'm trying to decide if that was too good of a hit. I'm gonna keep it in. It didn't feel perfect. It felt below the equator, but it was a really good result. Let's get closer to the heel. There we go. That one felt different than the last one. I laugh only because we were talking about feedback earlier. I think it was the Wilson, where the Wilson kind of felt the same up and down the face. That first one that I hit just below center felt really good. Like it felt super soft. That one was definitely heel side, did not feel like that previous hit. The result, really good, really good. So I think I like knowing when I feel that I mishit it. And again, if that's the result, I'm like, oh, I didn't hit it that bad. Pretty good. Pretty darn good, Cobra. Felt like a toe push, way right. It went right, but maybe not as right as it felt. And cruising. That was not a really good swing. 145 smash factor, almost 300 yards. Wow. Wow. That was really high on the face. I might just start swinging at 75% swing speed. Like I haven't hit one OB yet, and I do all the time with my regular driver. I'm keeping that in because it was high on the face. I felt it. It did not feel as solid as some other ones did. But like, look at that, painting the line at 300 yards. Brandon, you're supposed to be swinging like an average golfer. It only carried 265. Look at that roll. Really, really solid. There's a lot of good drivers in this session. This is gonna be tough to pick a winner. That's 6 hits, let's compare it. The dispersion variance doesn't look fantastic looking at the tracers, right? Some left, some right, but it looks like all of them were in the fairway, if not the first cut. We had that one outlier, kind of that one low left one, averaging 104, which is pretty well across the board what I've been swinging all of them, right? Between that 104 to 108. Spin, 2,400, so good. Carrying 254. Versus 258, 250, 245. They're all right there. Total was 290. Is that our highest total yet? Yep. So far the Cobra has averaged the furthest. Smash factor was really good, 145. It's got the highest, 146 with the Wilson. Let's look at it from a top-down view, see how consistent all these strikes were. I mean, pretty good. From a variance between the shortest and the longest. Let's look at that compared to the Titleist. I mean, Titleist was tighter. Titleist was definitely tighter than the Cobra, right? But you're giving up 6 yards to the Cobra. So what's more important to you? Dynapwr, I would say Dynapwr and Cobra, almost identical. Look at that. How crazy is that? 3 to the right, 2 to the left, 1 near the middle. 3 to the right, 2 to the left, 1 to the middle. That is actually pretty crazy. I can't believe how similar those are. Very cool. This is gonna be so hard to pick a winner. I mean, there's a couple in mind so far that I think are the total package, but I still have 2 more drivers to hit. Let's hit the Ping. This is the Ping G440 Max. This driver, just holding it so far, feels like it has the heaviest head. I haven't fact checked that, but in just kind of swinging it back and forth, I can really feel that tungsten weight at the back of the club. When you put all of the weight at the back of the club, that's what makes it the most forgiving. Very similar to a couple of the other drivers that we've hit, but let's give this Ping a test. I love how this looks. This looks really cool. I don't know, that felt flushed. Delete it. Hit it too good. Can't be having any 148 smash factors in this session. I mean, again, is that a good thing or a bad thing? First hit out of the gate, 291 total. 148 smash factor. She going. Miss hit's only Ping. Okay, there's a toe hit. That felt way different than the first one. There's the gear effect I'm talking about, finally. Finally, a club that I hit on the toe turns over. That's exactly what I'm looking for in a forgiving driver. 2,200 spin, 287 total. Smash factor 1.4, not ideal, but finally a toe hit that came back over. It saved me. Thank you, Ping. That one felt a little low on the face. The club starts to feel really good the lower on the face that I hit it. It doesn't feel very good near the top of the crown. But again, that's that feedback that do you like feeling mishits? Do you not like feeling mishits? I would say a good result for a poor strike. Maybe a little leaky. Felt like I kind of left the face open there. Yeah. I mean, I do like that the ball's going where I feel like it should, but of course you want it closer to the center line. Low on the face again, what happens? It feels more exaggerated than it is. It didn't feel like a 149 smash factor, so I wouldn't feel like I hit it to my max potential even though the stat is saying so. It still felt like a miss hit, so I gotta keep it in there. Of all the drivers I've hit so far, my miss hits have had the best smash factor with the ping. So that would suggest it's very forgiving. The results, we're gonna have to break it down and see how close they are to the center line. Looking at the tracers, down the line, I would say the least impressive, right? High floaters to the right, pull hooks to the left, nothing near the center line, where every other driver that we hit was able to get at least some near the center line. So definitely the least impressive tracers. Let's look at the averages. 104 club head speed is right on par with everything else. 151 ball speed's right there. Spin creeped up a little bit, 2,900. Carry 250 is kind of right around par with everybody else. Total 282, kind of middle of the pack. But I think the biggest difference we're gonna see is right here. I would say I had the worst dispersion of anything that we've hit so far. It's the exact same shaft, the exact same loft, the exact same setup. It kind of pains me that this was the results because that very first one that I hit on the screws was probably the best feeling club of everything that I've hit. We're testing its forgiveness level, right? But if you look at the tracers, that just can't be our winner. We got one more driver to go. This is our last driver. This is the Srixon. We'll see how this compares to the field. Last driver I'm testing is the Srixon ZXi Max. Probably the most unique looking driver, especially when you look at it at the sole. It's got this big, long, almost rectangular plate at the bottom of the club. Not really sure what it does. We're gonna find out if it equates to a more forgiving driver. That felt a little tuggy left. Okay, not as dramatic as it felt, but yeah, it's pretty good. Super low on the face. Wow. That one probably felt the worst. Of all the drivers I've missed hit, that low one on the Srixon definitely felt the worst. Not the best result. How does my smash factor 144 with that? Like I almost topped it. I've definitely got more launch out of other ones that I've hit in the exact same spot. This toey one, see if it closes over. No, it just stays there. It's definitely high on the face. Here we go, close to center. For like a miss hit, for that being really high in the face, that was a really good one. So for like sound and feel, I wouldn't rank it in the top 5. Probably I would definitely put it in the bottom 3 for sound and feel. Unfortunately, it just doesn't have like that same pop that the other drivers have been giving me. Okay guys, one more with Srixon, then we'll find a winner. That one was kind of high left. Yeah, I mean, that went where I felt like it should. It's finally time to find a winner, so let's compare the Srixon to the field, and then we'll crown the winner. The tracers on this session with the Srixon remind me a lot of the ping, that it wasn't fantastic. Again, had some go left, had some go right, but like the big misses were quite dramatic. Maybe not as big as the ping, but it didn't feel like a winner, if that's fair to say. But let's take a look at the numbers. Club head speeds right on par, 106, kind of on the higher side, 152 ball speed, 2,800 spin, pretty good. 250 carries, right there with everybody else. Total distance, 284, again, right there with everybody else. Let's take a look at the top-down view. The dispersion wasn't bad. It wasn't the tightest of everything that we had. We kept everything in play. We had a couple go left, couple go right, not a ton near the center line. For me, it just didn't wow me as a session just because it didn't really sound and feel as good as some of the other ones. Let's go through all of them and pick our winner. What is a forgiving driver? A forgiving driver, in my opinion, is the best result with a miss hit. I tried my hardest to have miss hits with every single driver, some toey, some heely, low and high across the face. Let's start with our dispersion. Let's see what I think from a dispersion standpoint is our winner. We'll go Srixon. I think we had tighter sessions. Ping, much tighter. So from a dispersion, a consistency, distance standpoint, I would say that the ping so far is beating out the Srixon. Cobra was very consistent. I would say just as consistent from a distance standpoint as the ping. So I would say that those two are kind of right neck and neck. The GT1, I mean, I think that this is the benchmark. Looking at it right away from the dispersion, they're all right there, all in play. There's not a ton of variance between the shortest and the longest. Wilson Dynapwr, again, is right there with the ping and the Cobra, I would say. I mean, the Cobra and the Wilson were actually like almost the exact same session. That still kind of blows my mind. Callaway, I think, had the worst variance between the shortest and the longest. It just wasn't as consistent as the other ones. TaylorMade had a great session too. If I didn't leave in that one floater, TaylorMade would probably win this from a dispersion standpoint. And the Kirkland signature was right there. So I would say Kirkland, Srixon, like look how identical Kirkland and Srixon are, right? We kind of finished how we ended. Those are so close. But out of all of these from a dispersion standpoint, I'm picking the GT1. Okay, let's look at the tracers. Srixon, no. Ping, no. Cobra could be there. Titleist, super tight. High, soft, super tight. Wilson, very similar to the Cobra. But is the Wilson better than the Titleist? I would say no. Callaway and Titleist were actually pretty darn close from a tracer standpoint, but Callaway had that big outlier and the biggest distance variance. TaylorMade. If TaylorMade didn't have that one outlier, again, it would be the closest to the Titleist. Kirkland was also pretty good, but not as tight as the TaylorMade or the Titleist. So picking the most forgiving driver of 2025 is down to two drivers, the Titleist GT1 and the TaylorMade Qi35 Max. Now we start to look at the distance, okay? TaylorMade averaged 250 carry. Titleist was 258 carry. And that's with higher spin. TaylorMade spin was only 2,600. Titleist was spinning higher and carrying further. TaylorMade 285 total, Titleist 284 total, so they're right neck and neck. Smash factor. Smash factor was better with the TaylorMade at 144. Titleist was only 141. So how do you pick a winner between these two? I would say that you can't go wrong with either. Let's go back to the dispersion chart. TaylorMade versus Titleist. TaylorMade versus Titleist. I mean, it's a toss-up. If the TaylorMade didn't have that one outlier, it would just be neck and neck. I think this one outlier is what's throwing everything off. Based on everything we know, the total distance, the forgiveness level, the smash factors, I mean, you could really flip a coin. I would say based on the session, because there were no outliers, I'm picking the Titleist GT1 as the most forgiving driver of 2025. I'm really only picking the Titleist because I didn't have an outlier. I did have one outlier with the TaylorMade. If I didn't have that, it would be a much closer battle. I mean, they were both so good. I would be happy standing over either of them. The ones I was surprised was the Kirkland. I thought that was a fantastic benchmark. The Wilson really surprised me. Callaway kind of let me down. Ping, I'm excited to go full gas. I haven't done one full swing, so now that I have a winner, which is the Titleist GT1, let me step on one and see what its max potential is. 121 club head speed, super low smash. I hit that pretty high in the face. I'm just spinning it way too much now. That right there is a perfect example why a lightweight max forgiveness driver is not great for someone like me. If you want to see me dial in a more high club head speed driver and really crown the best driver of 2025, make sure you smash subscribe. Thanks again for watching this video. Check in with you guys next time.